Hello students, welcome to your very first course lecture. So before we start diving into course content, I wanted to take a minute and just talk about how we spend our time. Now, one of the things that interests me is we all get the same 24 hours each day. It's this great equalizer in society. Doesn't matter how rich, how poor you are, where you live in the world, we all get each new day a serving of another 24 hours. And there's a lot of research that has shown that collectively, how you spend your time really kind of determines your place in life and how your life turns out. Now, I can tell you as a 53-year-old that there's some truth to this. And I think we all experience this frustration of having goals, but life just seems to get in our way, and our reach always seems to kind of exceed our grasp. And one of the things that I wish they had as an opening course for all college students was a course on time management. So this brief lecture is an attempt to just give you some tips, and I struggle like all of us do with how do I manage my day. We're all in a very busy society with social media and this buzz of anxiety pervading our society. But we can, through intentional practices of how we spend our time, really accomplish pretty much anything that we want to. It's just a matter of discipline. So let's look at a couple of inspirational slides, and then I'm going to give you a classic time-honored tip from Stephen Covey, who wrote a book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And he researched hundreds of leaders in different fields, medicine and sports and education and business. And the goal of his research was to find out, how do successful people spend their time? Are there differences between how successful people spend their time and people of moderate success? And what he found is that there were some differences. And that's one of the last slides I'm going to show you in this lecture. So here we go. We all want to accomplish more. We want to have whiter teeth, perfect hair. We want to be in shape and attractive. We want to make lots of money. But success has a lot of different metrics, right? It's not just financial success. So a successful life is one where you're happy and you enjoy your life and you feel like you're contributing to society. So part of the process of going to college, and I just completed another degree in 2015, so I'm still going to school just like you all are, is we want to change, we talk about change, we communicate and tweet about change, but how do we actually change? Do people actually change? And what does it take to actually change and get where we want to go? Are you interested? I know I am. So there's a lot of research around habits, and some people will tell you it takes 6 weeks, others 3 weeks, but it takes time to establish a habit. You can't just say you're going to go on a diet, and many of us do it, and we stick on the diet for a couple of days or even a week, or maybe even a month, but then something happens and we sabotage ourselves. So how do we create long-term habits? You're all motivated. You're young and you're students and you're going to school. Clearly you're motivated. You've got the intelligence to get where you want to go. Sometimes we're our own worst enemy. So just remember, as you complete your degree, as you're working through your classes, there's going to be periods of great self-doubt and maybe even a questioning of confidence. But they're going to hire somebody. Why not you? Why not you? So don't tell yourself that you're too young or you don't have the right social background to be pursuing a college degree, or you're not smart enough, or nobody in your family went to college, or you're too broke, or you don't have any stable family life to do this. So All of that is your own inner monologue. So when we quiet down our inner monologue and our thoughts, it kind of frees our headspace to just focus on what we actually need to do. So it's not about going faster in society. It's not about staying up later and pulling all-nighters to get where we not want to go. That's not a sustainable pattern. Really, the most important thing is quieting down our inner monologue and getting some level of contentment so that we can focus and know exactly what we need to do. I remember speaking with a religious person, a monk actually, and I was asking him how he goes through his day and how he manages all that he has to manage. Oh, sorry, you can see my dog in the background there. Hi, Lola. And he said, you know, there's A importance things that are super important, have to get done today. There's B importance things that may be less important. There's C importance things. So they're all in the head, right? He's like, I just worry about the A things. And I asked him, what about the B's and the C's? He said, well, I ignore the B's and I ignore the C's until they become A's, and then I deal with them. So there's only so many things we can hold in our head and think about and worry about at any given time. So clear the headspace and focus on just what's most important to get done today or even right now. It can be that simple. Make sure your own worst enemy is not living between your own two ears. Keep your self-talk positive. This slide brings us to Stephen Covey's Urgency and Importance Matrix. So Stephen Covey wrote The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. The book's been out for a long time, but his research showed that leaders in different fields tend to spend their time in one of these boxes. And you can see the non-urgent important box in the upper right, and that's where they spend their time. Not just because they're senior executives and they do all the goals and planning stuff. They've always spent their time that way. So let's look at a couple of the other boxes and see how we can move ourselves up into that goal and planning box so we can work on our big goals, our strategic thinking, and the things that are going to really help us advance our career and our education path. So from top to bottom, the vertical axes here, on the top you have things that are important, and on the bottom you have things that are not that important. And things have a spectrum, right? So we're just doing this in a simple 4-box quadrant. Going left to right, we have things that are not important over to things that, things that are not urgent to things that are not urgent. So starting with things on the bottom right corner, distractions. Not urgent, not important. Why would we spend time on these things? Well, because they're a distraction. Facebook pinging you that somebody just liked your post, and pretty soon you're spending several hours on Facebook. Have you ever gone into Facebook and you're looking at somebody's timeline and pictures and you don't even really know that person? Social media can be a big distraction. We're losing a lot of our time into this quadrant of the matrix here. So we limit how much time we allow ourselves to be distracted. We sit down at our laptop to work on something, and we need to be in a distraction-free environment. So, and social media is a big culprit here. On the bottom left, we have something that's not important, but it seems urgent. It seems urgent. This can be a ringing phone at your desk. You pick it up. Why? Because it's ringing. It's an interruption. It's somebody talking to you at work as you're getting ready to head out and go home so you can finish your homework. And you end up giving them an hour of your time. So other people are a common interruption, and if we're not good at blocking out our time, it's not about being antisocial. It's about having some discipline around making sure that we don't let interruptions eat into our goal time for what we have. In the upper left, we have crisis. This box should actually be quite small, but for a lot of us, this box can actually be quite large. If we're poor at planning our time, then everything migrates into the crisis box. And when you're young, you can live in the crisis box. You have the energy to do it. But as you get older, crisis gets to be old, not popular. Maybe this is a typical day for some of us. Our alarm goes off and we overslept and we're late and we gotta throw on some clothes and dash out the door, and where's our keys and where's my wallet, and oh, I forgot my cell phone. I gotta zip back to the house and get my cell phone. And oh no, I'm out of gas because I forgot to get gas, and am I gonna make it on gas, or I'm gonna be late to school? We're constantly in that frenetic crisis mode. It can be addicting to live in crisis mode, meaning some people will actually delay things. They'll procrastinate until something becomes a crisis, and then they're motivated. And if you think, that's me, I like pressure, I like deadlines, that's how I do my best work. Pressure makes diamonds. Well, research has shown that if you are a quote multitasker and trying to do a lot of things, in crisis mode, you actually don't do your best work, and it's poor for your health. So, and if you don't plan, if you don't budget your time, and if you give up a lot of time to those bottom two boxes of interruptions and distractions, then things migrate into the crisis box, right? So I'm not saying anything to you that I don't say for myself. So I still struggle with this too. That analytical report in this class is certainly not a crisis, but if we don't put some time towards it over the semester, it will become a crisis. So all these three leave us from where we should be spending the bulk of our time in the non-urgent and important box. Not urgent. It's not due yet, but it is important. I'll give you a quick story. When I was at Petco, I just finished my MBA and I was a regional marketing manager, and I had aspirations for a higher level position. And I came up with this goal for myself to write an international marketing plan for Petco and the strategy behind why they should open up operations in France. France has very high pet ownership, like the US, and high pampering of their pets, like the US. They let them into restaurants and all these locations. They pamper their pets, and yet there wasn't a pet food and supply chain in France at the time. So I was suggesting that they open up operations in France. I knew that to write this international marketing plan, it was going to take me some time to write this thing, but that if I did, I'd probably get noticed in the company and maybe even get to be a director or a VP of operations in France, which sounded like a really cool job. So, but to do that, I had to budget time and protect that goal and feed that goal with the time needed to complete that project, and limit my distractions, limit time spent on other things. I did get the international marketing plan done. I delivered it to the CEO and the VP of marketing for the company, and they didn't do anything with it. But it did get me noticed in the company and led to some other career advances down the line. So you all have that big goal of something you want to accomplish. How do we feed the goal? We feed the goal hours, and those hours have to come from somewhere, and we don't want to give them up to these other boxes. It's simple in theory, but as we all know, the execution of it can be really hard. So your final slide here, as we talk about time management, is really how do we set a 24-hour time budget for ourselves? As I mentioned in the opener, we all get the same 24 hours each day. That's great. It's the great equalizer of life, and how we spend our time kind of determines our life. What I want you to do is take a moment and think about what's that big goal that you want to accomplish for yourself this year. Write that down. Once you've written that down, I want you to think about how many hours is it going to take to really complete this goal. Maybe it's getting your associates for transfer degree from Mira, Costa. You've got X number of classes, 17 weeks a semester, 4 to 5 hours a week per class. How many hours is that going to be? Come up with the total hours number that it's going to take to complete that goal this year, whether it's educational or vocational or even personal, move out of your parents' house, get a new car, whatever it is. How much time is it going to take to achieve that goal? And then put it into a daily budget. So on average, we're looking here on average, how do you spend your time per day? I know that weekends are different than weekdays, and work days are different than days when you're not working. So take your totals and then put them into your averages per day on a 7-day basis. And I'm going to give you my numbers just for an example's sake. I'm trying to finish this book that I've been working on for a couple of years. It's a self-help book. I'm about 60% of the way done, and I think I need about 80 hours to finish it. And I just can't seem to get it done because I'm not giving it the time that that goal needs. I'm going to put down on my time budget that I need to apply 3 hours a day towards this goal if I want to finish the book this year. So I'm going to put down 3 hours for my goal. Go ahead and think about your goal and how many hours do you need to put down for it on a daily basis. And then going from the top down, I sleep 7 hours a day. So 7 hours of sleep, 3 hours for goal, that's 10 hours out of my 24 hours. I only have 14 hours left. Let's see if I can make sure that my goal retains its 3 hours. Work, now you might be working and also going to school, so whatever those collectively are, and I would also add in any commute time for work into this number. For me, that number is 7 hours a day. That's a day. That means 7 days a week. So I don't work very long days. Sometimes they're 6-hour days. So I'm in the 42 to 49 hours a week range. I'm going to go ahead and put down 7 hours a day for work/school. And again, include commute time in there as well. Body care, that's hopefully brushing your teeth and taking a shower, but also working out and getting some exercise, which is very important to maintaining a healthy body so that you can work longer with more energy over the course of your career. I'm going to say that is, I exercise an hour a day most days. I'm going to put down an hour and a half a day for body care. Some of you might spend a lot of time in front of the mirrors, and that's okay, but just put down the numbers. Social/family, I have kids. When they're with me, I split them equally with my ex. We get along, but when the kids are with me, I want to devote time to them. And then social, I'm in a relationship and I have friends and I want to give them time as well. This is an area where we can give up a lot of time. Social can also be, well, I don't put social media in the social category because I consider social to be live interaction. I put social media in the category of relaxing or goofing off category. My social and family time, I'm going to put that at 3.5 hours a day. Errands and chores, I try to limit this as much as possible. I use Amazon. I pay my oldest son to do some shopping and cooking for me. We hire a maid to do some of that, so I'd like to keep that as little as possible. But I still cook for my family, and that's, there's a dishwasher and it has to be emptied and trash and yard work and all that kind of stuff. So for me, that's 2 hours a day. Relaxing, we can spend a lot of time here. I would put TV, watching sports, vegging out, looking at YouTube videos of God knows what. I would put them in this category. For me, I meditate an hour a day. So I put that in the relaxing category. I'm going to put an hour there. So looking at my numbers, I've got 7 for sleep, 7 for work. That's 14 hours. I've got 1.5 for body care, 3 for social and family. That's 5 hours. That takes me to 19 hours. I've got 2 hours for errands and chores. That takes me to 21 hours. I've got an hour to relax. That takes me to 22 hours. And I've got 3 hours on my goal. That takes me to 25 hours. I'm an hour short based on this schedule. So I would need to make a change. And that's why I'm asking you to take an honest look at your time budget and where can you make a change? What are you willing to give up? And I would encourage you to not have it be sleep, because that's not a sustainable strategy. And I would not give up taking time to exercise. But where can you give up time? And as you can probably imagine, the culprits where we tend to give up a lot of time can be item 4, social family, and item second from the bottom, relaxing, can take up a lot of time. If you don't believe me, go ahead and look at, do a Google search on what is the average amount of time an American spends watching TV. And you'll see that on average it's north of 5 hours a day. So we have the ability in our 24 hours to feed the goal, which is exciting. That tells us I can achieve my goals. I just need to spend my time more wisely. That's what time management is all about, right? So we have to make sacrifices. So in my case, I'm going to go ahead and trim my errands and chores down to 1 hour. and I'll hire some help to do the remaining work that I have on my list. And that gets me my 3 hours for my book goal. Go and do this exercise for yourself, and I really hope you find this beneficial, and I would love to check in with you at the end of the semester and see what did you give up and how far did you get towards your goal by feeding it the time it needs to actually come to life. That's it, my friends. Thanks for listening to this time management lecture. Bye-bye.